Michael Jordan is one of the, if not the greatest basketball player to ever play the game. He has something for every type of fan. His collection of accolades are something that few can even match. His statistics, both in advanced and basic context, are incredible. And his tape as a player doesn't just back up his statistics and his awards, it also is incredibly fun to watch. He's a player that I wish I was able to see in his prime in real time, obviously. I think that's true for a lot of people. I've watched many games of his. They're all over YouTube. You can find full games of him basically anywhere on the internet. But there's just something about seeing a player in the moment that's magical. And with Jordan, it's definitely something I was able to experience. Another thing I wonder though is just how good Michael Jordan would have been in the modern NBA. So in today's video, I'll be talking about just how good I think MJ would be in today's NBA. To clarify, this is not a career sim or a year-by-year what if. This is me giving a general idea of how I believe Michael Jordan will play in today's NBA based off the context of him growing up in today's era and based off what I've seen on tape already. This is not an exact prediction. If you want career sims, other content creators have made it. I'll link a few of their videos in the description below so you can go check those out. But I do want to quickly talk about what Michael Jordan was as a player from a stats, awards, and eye test perspective. Statistically, his numbers are out of this world, never averaged below 20 points per game in a season, which is incredible considering at the levels that he played. He's somebody that had 7 straight 30-plus point per game seasons, which is also really wild. Somebody that has 6 of the 40 best seasons as a scorer basketball has ever seen, which really says a lot considering the amount of great scoring seasons that we've seen. And he's also somebody that also put up pretty decent steal numbers, good block numbers, averaged at least 1 block per game in 4 seasons, which is impressive for a guard. And the assist numbers were also pretty solid for somebody that was such a high volume scorer. His accolades speak for themselves. 6 finals MVPs is the most in NBA history. 5 MVPs is the second most in NBA history, and he's somebody that has 10 scoring titles. For some perspective, you could combine James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry's career scoring titles, and it would still be one sort of Michael Jordan's career total for scoring titles. He's somebody that had a lot of all-defensive awards, All-NBA First Team awards, and really, you can just look at his resume and see one of the most decorated athletes that the world has probably ever seen. Now, I will admit that I'm not going to be able to give you guys the best perspective on his tape, because even though I've watched a lot of his games, seeing his games in real time is probably something that is important when looking at a player, and I just wasn't able to do that with Michael Jordan because I'm not a time traveler. However, he is an incredible player. I think that's really obvious. He plays the game of basketball like he's wearing ODM gear. He's a freakish athlete. He was quick, he was fast, he could jump out of the gym. He was stronger than I think people probably think he is because of the frame being kind of skinny, but he held his own against contact, and he was just a very technically sound basketball player as well. Not a lot of wasted movement in his game, and overall someone that was just very fun to watch. Okay, now let's actually talk about what you clicked the video to talk about, which is what I think Michael Jordan would be if he played in today's NBA. I'm going to do this with the idea that he grew up to play in today's NBA and not just dropping him here, because I think it's more interesting to see how he would adjust growing up and how he would train. First of all, Michael Jordan was a freakish athlete. I'm pretty sure I made that very clear in the last section. One of the most impressive athletes I've ever watched on tape. The speed, the strength, the vertical ability, the body control, flexibility, all of it. And if he grew up today, he would have resources that modern science and medicine have created. He probably would be even more freakish of an athlete in today's NBA. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to speak on stuff I don't know. However, I will say that I think he might have added a bit more functional strength with today's strength programs. But regardless, this is a generational, pure athlete that will be growing up to play basketball in the modern NBA. One thing that I think would change a lot for Michael Jordan would also be his pre-NBA process. because MJ was somebody that was highly recruited in high school. In the actual timeline of his career, he was a McDonald's All-American, had multiple ACC offers, and I think that if he played today, the legend of Michael Jordan would start a lot earlier because of the social media era. Not only do high school games get covered now, but AAU and summer ball games get covered. And we know MJ wouldn't pass on an opportunity to compete in more basketball games in the summer. I believe this would reach Zion levels of hype and popularity. A freak athlete guard that could be an elite scorer, that does things and highlights that would gain a lot of popularity and views on social media, but also does things that would have recruits and college coaches drooling from the wiring and intangible perspective. To look at a player like Michael Jordan with added context of today's resources, both from a training and a media perspective, it's very believable that he wouldn't just be viewed as the best player in whatever high school class he was in, but also be viewed as a generational prospect. And wherever he goes to college, or even if he chooses to go to college with the pathways now, I think that he would be thrown into a start position as a freshman, which I don't think he was based off the numbers from his UNC days in real life. Because now he plays in an era where one and done is accepted. In the actual era he grew up in, one and done wasn't even a concept. And if he grew up to play in the one and done era now, the chances of him getting the keys right away for 1 year are much more likely. So you have a 6'6", 195-pound scoring guard wing prospect with a 7-foot wingspan. That's one of the most impressive athletes basketball's ever seen. He's fast, he's quick, he's explosive, he jumps high, he's flexible, has good body control, has the wiring and motor on both ends of the floor to be a franchise player, has the scoring tools to be dominant on offense, and the mindset to be dominant on offense, and is a decent passer as well, on top of being a pretty good defensive player. Also, let's add the context of him probably working on his three-point game, where if he grew up to play in today's era, than he would in his actual life, because today the three-pointers are a big emphasis in the game, where when he actually grew up, three-point shooting really wasn't something that even existed. I'll be quite honest with you. I don't know the exact timeline, but it wouldn't shock me if Michael Jordan grew up as a child in an era where the three-point line wasn't even a thing. But I would have to do the math on that, actually go back and research even more. Don't really feel like doing that. That's probably not something I should be telling you guys. Anyways, the point is that Michael Jordan's somebody that wants to be the best, and he does whatever it takes to be the best. And if he saw the emphasis on three-point shooting in today's NBA, he would work on his three-point shot and make it a part of his game. I still think that the mid-range game and the finishing would be the go-to moves for Michael Jordan, but I do think that he would put in a lot of work on his three-point shooting, and he would take way more threes in today's NBA than he would have, again, in his actual career. I really believe the way Michael Jordan trained in his actual career, and if you took that level of training and applied modern resources that today's prospects have, he could have been a flawless prospect with no real holes in his game. And that's a generational type talent that I'm describing, and a slam dunk #1 pick in most drafts. I think Michael Jordan would be even better in this scenario than he was in his actual career from a film standpoint and from a statistical standpoint, which is wild to think about because you look at his actual career and his career has made him the best player in NBA history potentially. I can't say as much about the awards. I think that's something that actually we'd have to see play out more than anything. But if you give Michael Jordan the context of having the resources that players today have and growing up to play in the modern NBA, while also still having the athletic gifts that he has and the mindset that he has, he could be better in today's NBA. He was already somebody that got to the line a lot, but with the way the game is called now, he could be somebody that gets to the line 11, 12 times a game in my opinion. And reminder that in his actual career, he got to the line 8.2 times per game in a more physical era. But that's not all. I think that the spacing in today's NBA would help him out a lot. That's also true for just about every 25 plus point per game scorer before the year of 2010. But specifically with Michael Jordan, I think the spacing would help him out a lot. I also think growing up, he would take a few more threes than he does long twos, which would give his numbers a slight boost as well. So I think he might get a slight free throw number boost and a slight overall number boost because of him potentially taking more threes, because it would be a focus point of his training. He's somebody that I think would average 25 plus points a game as a rookie, and that's even more impressive now considering that he would enter the league at 19 years old instead of 21 because of the one done stuff. And I think he immediately would be one of the, if not the hardest players to try and guard because of the physical tools that many won't be able to match, and the technical skills being off the charts as well. What Michael Jordan's career would actually be is another story for another time. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it because that would make this video an hour long, and I don't want to make the video that long. You get the idea. The point is that with Michael Jordan, you have a player that is a freak athlete, has a great work ethic, is a psychopath competitively, and has all the skills in the world, and that's with the context of his own era. But the advantages players in this era have from a medical standpoint, from a training standpoint, the advances that they've made in these fields, what's to say that Michael Jordan couldn't have been even better? You might be saying, oh, but he would have been raised differently. There's other contexts. And there are other contexts. I'm not saying it's a one-to-one comparison. But Michael Jordan has things that you can't teach. You can't teach motor, you can't teach wiring, and you can't teach God-given athleticism. And Michael Jordan has those three things, and they're what made Michael Jordan Michael Jordan. The athleticism was a part of it, yes, but it was also about the wiring. He's wired like Nobara was when she put those two brothers on a Balls Life mixtape at the end of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1, and he's wired like that every single game. The competitive nature he plays with can't be taught. The way that he drives himself to improve can't be taught. And that's led to arguably the greatest career basketball has ever seen. And when you have a player like that, what's to say that he can't be better when you give him advantages on top of the things that he already has that you can't teach as an athlete? So that's why he is somebody I think will be even better in today's NBA. But let me know in the comment section what you believe Michael Jordan would be. But that's the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, do all those things, be a big help to me. If you want to check out more content, check out my most recent video about Steph Curry. That video will be right here. And another video that YouTube will recommend from my catalog of videos that I've made that you may like. So again, if you have time, go check out another video. And thank you guys for the support. We're on that road to 10,000 subscribers. Could use all the help I can get. And the help that you guys have given me and the support that you've given me is something I really appreciate. That being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.